Hi guys, it's Dan and Michelle with Honeymoon Always, and today we are in Porto, Portugal.
Yeah, we've been here before. We did a video on the highlights, but we've come back to check out WOW, also known as World of Wine. Now, when we first heard of WOW, it didn't quite pique our interest because we're not huge wine people. And if you are interested in wine, you know it's like everywhere here in Portugal. But we've since learned that it's so much more than that. And they invited us to check out the 7 museums and multiple restaurants to see what WOW is all about.
We were actually supposed to be here a couple of weeks ago with expats everywhere, but unfortunately we caught COVID. So we had to quarantine, stay home, get a little bit better. We are here now, and we are gonna be on Expats Everywhere's channel talking about our experience and kind of comparing notes. So you'll definitely wanna check that out after this video. So we're gonna go explore WOW a little bit further. Come along. Before we dive in, I want to tell you a little bit about how the ticketing system works. So there are 7 museums total, but you're going to buy tickets for either 2, 3, or 5 of the museums. So you're going to want to pick and choose which ones you go to. We're going to show all of them to you today, so hopefully that can help you make a decision. Our first stop was the museum we were most excited about, which is the Chocolate Story. This is the world of cacao to the world of chocolate, and I think I would best describe this as if you wanted to learn about chocolate the way that you learn about wine, this is the place to go. It talked about agriculture and production, although Dan and I were both surprised to see that there wasn't any information about the often slave or child labor that goes into the production, but we learned a lot about what it takes to get to the chocolate that we know and love, including production, advertising, all of that. We got to taste cacao beans and smell things, so we learned a whole lot about chocolate in this museum. My one beef with this is that it said in the pamphlet that there would be a chocolate tasting, which implies multiple flavors of chocolate. And having talked to the Expats Everywhere crew, we heard that that's the experience that they had. That's not the experience we had. We just did a little claw machine game that gave us a little bar of chocolate, and you know, chocolate is chocolate, so I'm not mad at it, but I do wonder about why they got that experience and we didn't. And hopefully if you go, you will get the actual chocolate tasting experience. At the end of each museum, there is a marketplace or a cafe, and at the end of the Chocolate Story, we picked up this chocolate cookie, which was delicious. So if you go, 2 thumbs up, can recommend. Next up, we went to the Planet Cork Museum. This museum reveals a surprising industry and the reasons why Portugal is the largest producer of cork on the planet. Now, if you go to any touristy city in Portugal, you're going to see cork shop. And before this museum, we honestly didn't have a lot of context for that. So this was a super informative, super engaging museum. You can see here Dan finds out how much he weighs in wine cork stoppers. We also got to make a custom Honeymoon Always cork stopper. And they have a runway you can walk, which was super fun. It was showing cork fashions, but also my personal modeling skills. Next, we visited the Porto Fashion and Fabric Museum. This is a museum about textiles and fashion in Portugal. It says they started the blueprint, go through the production of fabrics, and arrive at the main Portuguese textile factories. We don't have a ton to say about this one. I think it was not as interactive as many of the other museums. I personally do have an interest in fashion, but not so much construction of garments. And I think if you're more interested in garment production, that might be more interesting to you. I think the most interactive museum is the Pink Palace. This is dedicated to rosé and the color pink. So you'll go through, they'll give you 5 different samplings of rosé, they'll tell you all about them, and then you get to have fun in each of the different photo ops and sensory experiences like a ball pit and a seesaw. We had a lot of fun goofing off here. Next up is the Bridge Collection. Now, despite the name having the word bridge in it and Porto being a city of bridges, this museum has nothing to do with bridges. It's actually just a collection of drinking vessels curated by a man with the last name Bridge. So we were definitely thrown off guard when we came into this museum, but we actually found it really interesting. There are a lot of really cool drinking vessels, and we learned a lot about kind of ancient drinking games and things like that. So if you like traditional museums or archaeology or things like that, this is a really cool museum. Next up, we have Porto Region Across the Ages. This is the first and only museum pertaining to the history of the city of Porto. It starts basically at the dawn of time and goes all the way up to today. I learned so much about not only Porto, but all of Portugal, all of Portuguese history. This was so much information that I have been wanting and hoping for, that I've been missing. So if you want to learn more about Portugal, like, this is it. This was awesome. All right, guys, the last museum is the Wine Experience. It's dedicated to both amateur and experienced wine enthusiasts, aiming to demystify wine. This museum is basically everything you've ever wanted to know about wine creation, wine production. They go into even specific types of wine and how they differ. Here we're seeing a demonstration of how port wine is created. You can see they're stomping on it with their bare feet, and I'm still not sure how you get the feet juices out of the wine. So if you know, sound off in the comments, please. All jokes aside, this was super interactive and a really great way to learn more about wine production. And at the end, there is a wine tasting. We got to try 2 of the restaurants at WOW. First was VP Brunch. You can see the view here is incredible. You cannot miss it. We also really loved our meals at the Golden Catch and Root and Vine. They're 2 separate restaurants, one's seafood, one's vegetarian, but you can actually order from both in the same spot, which is what we did. And this is some of the best food we've had in Portugal, truly.
All right, so we just finished our 7 experiences here at World of Wine. And first thing is, it's raining right now, and which brings up a good point that this is probably the best experience in Porto for a rainy day, and it rains a lot in Porto, so that's kind of a good thing to say for your to-do list for your rainy day that you're probably gonna have if you stay a couple of days in Porto. But other than that, we were told before we came that it is a lot more than just wine. And I have to say, it really is. Like, we went and did the chocolate story, and that was probably my favorite, but there were so many things that we enjoyed here. The Porto history one, and the Cork experience.
Yeah, I think for me that was the same. The Porto through the ages was my #1, followed by the chocolate, followed by the Cork, and maybe mix those 2, I'm not sure. But I would also add, I really liked the Bridge Museum, even though it is deceptively named and not actually about bridges. I really liked it. I learned a lot. I thought it was really fun. And I think for me, the least favorite was the fabric one.
Yeah, that's great. We just kind of like went through them very quick.
Yeah. Okay, so that was our experience at WOW World of Wine. It's so much more than wine. We had a great time. We would love to know if you were gonna come to Porto, is this gonna be on your list? If you had to choose between 2 or 3 of these experiences, which ones do you think you would like the most? Which ones do you think you would not be as interested in? We'd love to hear from you in the comments, so let us know. Please subscribe to our channel and follow along with us on Instagram @HoneymoonAlways.